Peace, 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 family, peace. Welcome back to a place to conversate. I know it's been a minute since I touched base with the fam. What's happening with the family? I hope everybody's safe out there. Everybody been productive and doing their thing. Hope everybody's healthy, strong, and safe. I got my good brother Droop on the line. He wants to share a story with us about an event that happened to him close to a month ago. It appears that a racial assault was committed upon him while he was traveling. So, I'm going to talk to him, get his story, let him share his story. But before we do that, I just want him to give some context as to what he does and why he was in the position that he was at the time that this racial assault was committed upon him. Drew, what's going on, good brother? You there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. What's good?
What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Listen, before we get into your story, man, I just want to make sure, I just want to make sure I won't put words in your mouth. What's your position? Because I know we had conversation in the past. Is it correct to say that you don't identify with race? Is that correct to say?
I have stated that in the past, but to be more precise, basically, I consider myself to be American. I don't try and acknowledge the race component in my everyday. So, yes, I agree to the what you're saying as well as I disagree as well. You know, so I'm in the middle. I'm on the fence with it, but it's just there's a lot of different components that we can talk about. You know, and getting down to the root of why.
So, do you identify with race or no, good brother? I'm still confused as what your position is.
I do and I don't. I consider myself an American, yet there is the racial component, which is complex. And I try not to choose either or when it comes to that. But there's components that I think we should talk about, to understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give the people some context as to what it is that you do for a living, so that way we can paint the picture of the story that you're about to tell.
Well, basically, I'm a truck driver. I run my own trucks. I'm an owner operator, and I travel to 48.
Okay. All right, cool. So you're a truck driver, you travel all over the United States, delivering freight.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, man, break it down. What happened to you? Do you remember the actual date that this happened to you?
Yeah, it was the 27th.
27th?
The night of the 27th, yeah.
27th of July?
Yeah, last month.
All right. All right, go ahead and get into it, man. I'm gonna let you rock uninterrupted.
I basically, was traveling through the Midwest, coming south, through the Pittsburgh, West Virginia area, Ohio border. Basically, I was traveling I-79. Yeah, it was 79. And I stopped out there in West Virginia, basically. And I had time to rest. I was going to sleep in and start my day early because I only had about 6 hours left to drive. So I figured, it was about 7 hours, but I figured, I didn't have to wake up and deliver the next day so I could sleep in. And I found a hotel I had stayed at before outside of a place called Clarksburg. And it was actually positioned right next to another town called Bridgeport. And, Bridgeport, we got Bridgeport in Connecticut, you know what I'm saying? So, I felt comfortable in that environment. And I ventured off ventured out like I had the last time I was out there, or the last few times I had been out there. And it was a good place. I thought it was a safe place for me to, take my break. And you have to be cautious with this type of stuff, especially if you decide to allow yourself to indulge in whatever city or town and demographic you're at has to offer. Basically one thing led to another. I ended up having dinner at the restaurant. At the hotel. The hotel had a restaurant bar. I had dinner. It was basically not many white folks around. Not many black folks around. Where I was at on the Clarksburg side, But the bar closed early at like 9. And there was another bar right across the street, which was on the other side of town, which I didn't even understand.
How old are you?
43. I'll be 44 the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so basically 44.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Grown ass man, man.
Wanted people to get an idea exactly, what age you are and, paint a better picture and put it all in context. So let me just interrupt you. I said I was gonna let you rock uninterrupted, but I just have to ask, just put it in context and for the people, exactly what state were you in for this Clarksburg and Bridgeport? What state were you in?
I was in the state of West Virginia.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And now, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was well aware of being in West Virginia, but I was told by most people that, white and black, that it's basically the ghetto of the white ghetto of Virginia. Not the whole state, but it's the poor white trash. And that's kind of like a racial, a racial thing. And this is kind of one of the things we started the whole conversation with. So I'm gonna put that to the side for now and get back to the story that, being in West Virginia, I let my guard down, started getting saucy, basically, and took a shot at tequila, and ended up going across the street. And not realizing I'm going from one district to another county to another. And I ended up going in there and going into the bar. I was going to just get a drink, and I was like, I'm just going to get a drink. Just about it. And I got my drink real quick. And when I walked in, it was mostly Caucasians, you know what I mean? It was 90% Caucasian, you know what I mean? And, there was a couple of black people there that was from out there,
Let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. Can you say exactly how many black people were in this particular spot besides yourself?
I can't because the ones that ended up getting in the brawl at the end was, I think, worked there or came out from other sides of the place to, like, you know what I'm saying, break the shit up.
So if you had to guess, how many you think?
It had to be about 3 to 4. And the bar had to hold at least 50 people or more. And it had an outside too,
All right.
But I ended up getting basically, a few more drinks in me. I don't know if somebody roofied me or what, but it could have just been tequila that had me off square. And was socializing. And in the process of socializing, people that didn't like me started to get around me. And I was inebriated enough to let my guard down. And basically there was a fight at first with somebody else when I had my back turned at the bar. And it fell on me. So I ended up getting into it because of that. And, you know, it kind of moved away. And I kind of went and sat back down and had my back to where it was halfway to the back of all of this. But there was a path from the bar that crept around the bar to where I was like at the corner, to where you would come from another side of the bar. And somebody comes and hits me from behind. You know what I mean? And that got me into it. You know, basically somebody hit me from behind. I engaged that person, and it's all white folks now. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I started engaging that person, somebody's trying to act like they're trying to break it up. White guy's trying to act like he's trying to break it up. Yeah, he's trying to hold my arms down so I can't swing. And he's letting others who wasn't even in it against me all jump on me. You know what I mean? So I kind of like got smothered. And in the midst of it, there was a chair that I was finally able to get my hands on and start swinging. But in the process, the people that was there that, you know, in the process of mingling with everybody that I don't even remember who they were, you know, I had a bunch of enemies. And I go all over the freaking country, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I have my times where I drink or whatever. I always make it back safe, bro. You know what I'm saying? And literally, you know, I got into an altercation from behind in a place where it was 90% white Caucasian. And the thing is that when I first came in, I was going to just leave. But a woman caught my eye, a white woman caught my eye, and all the white bitches was all me.
All right, so let me interrupt you just for a minute, good brother. 'Cause I just want to put the picture in context so that way I get a better understanding. So you're in this town, small town, West Virginia.
Yeah.
You go into a bar, you've already been drinking.
Yeah.
And according to you, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in there talking to these white women.
Yeah.
You're in there flirting and carrying on with these white women in this bar in West Virginia, and next thing you know, you're getting first cold cock from behind, and then next thing you know, you're getting pummeled by. Can you even estimate how many people jumped on you at that specific time? Because the way you're telling the story, I take it that you basically got jumped.
Yeah, it was about 6 of them, but it was 2 that was trying to grab me, and then 2 more or 3 more came in and was just swinging on me. So then I'm trying to, like, they hitting the niggas that, they hitting me, they hitting the niggas that's holding me, the niggas that's holding me let go. I start fighting with them, and I couldn't really, they was trying to keep me from getting on my feet, you know what I'm saying, and I wasn't trying to get off my feet. So, you know, I ended up getting smothered, and underneath the smother, they wasn't really able to hit me in the smother, and I was able to find a chair. And then I started swinging that shit, the stool, the bar stool, I started swinging that shit on the motherfuckers. And excuse my language, but basically that's how I was able to get up out of it. But the thing was somebody was holding my arm. They kept trying to hold my arm, and that's how I dislocated my right shoulder swinging that damn stool. But I was swinging that stool to get up out of that shit, bro. It was the only thing I could do. Nobody was coming to my assistance. And as soon as I started splitting niggas shit with the stool, niggas came out the back. And I was so buzzed and shocked, you know what I'm saying, and caught up that I could see, everybody was standing away from me. You know what I'm saying? I was the only one standing there. And a couple of the brothers that I did see was whispering and ears and shit to these Caucasians. And as soon as I seen all of that, man, I just dropped the stool and hauled ass. Got up out of here. You know what I mean?
So you said that there was some brothers. When you say brother, you talking about there was some black people who were whispering in the ears of the white supremacists?
Yeah.
So, again, let me just be clear. You're in this bar, you've already been drinking, and you're in there talking to these people, white women's, and next thing you know, you get assaulted, and then next thing you know, you're getting jumped by a gang of white supremacists in a little rinky-dink, hole-in-the-wall bar in West Virginia. Is that pretty much sums it up?
Yes, sir.
So after this whole ordeal goes down, you find yourself basically standing solo by yourself, facing a whole bar of white supremacists looking on, ready to attack you. And then out of nowhere, some brothers who I want to say probably were coons were whispering in the ears of the white supremacists, which gave you opportunity to kind of tuck your ass and get up out of there.
Yep. In the process, I had dislocated my shoulder. Didn't even realize it.
With the dislocated shoulder. Dislocated shoulder in the whole process.
The whole process.
And you didn't realize it until when?
Until the next morning when I woke up.
Alright, so continue. I just wanted to put it in context for the people.
Yeah, so I was able to escape that bullshit. Come up out of there. I don't think the motherfuckers they didn't expect me to come up out of that shit the way I did in the standoff. You know what I mean? And the only way they could have finished me would have been in front of everybody. And they probably motherfucking realized that when it got broke up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stop running up on that nigga. Like, stop running up on him, because I swear there was two brothers that I seen. One was holding this one dude back, like, and I think they was all with him, you know what I'm saying? But one was in another dude that I really wanted to get, you know what I'm saying? The most cowardly dude that I remember in the incident, you know what I mean? Because I was trying to hit him with the stool, and his ass was lucky enough to get out the way. I never got to put hands on him, you know what I mean? But mostly everybody in that fight, I put hands on, and it just, what could you do with 6 motherfuckers? Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't 6 the biggest dudes in the world. These was average sized dudes, and one was my size, you know what I'm saying? But I split his shit, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of why he was the one that snuffed me, you know what I mean? Because as soon as I got snuffed from behind, I turned around and engaged that dude. And I thought it was going to be a fair one. Because he was the biggest one out of all of them.
So let me ask you this. With all that said, with everything that happened, do you think, in your opinion, that the reason why these white supremacists jumped on you is because they didn't take kindly to you coming there talking to their women folk?
Man, when you say it like that, man, it simplifies everything to the year. Because I'm a light-skinned dude, and they didn't know what I was. And I got hazel eyes. So, they didn't know what I was. And I was born. And they didn't know what I was. Except for, I was looking good up in that motherfucker, man.
So it was a matter of this pretty boy, northern nigga, coming down here, thinking he God's gift, and got not only that, thinking he got the audacity to come in here talking to our white women's, you know what I mean, disrespecting us, like he damn near owned the place. So we gotta go ahead and teach this nigga a lesson. And
Yeah.
apparently they showed you something.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you want to say they fucked me up or whatever, I mean, I've got a dislocated shoulder out the deal, a couple little bruises and scars or whatever. But all in all, I mean, if that we would have did that 6 deep up here, you know what I'm saying? We would have been trying to hide the body somewhere. You know what I mean? Because you know they just ain't know who they was fucking with, and I didn't know who I was fucking with. You know what I mean? So you know, I've never had it happen anywhere else except for in a place like this, and its reputation, West Virginia's reputation precedes itself. I'll tell you that much.
All right. So now, what you get into the other piece of the story when you there's another piece of this about the police. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What was your experience when you called the police? Or go into that. What led up to you calling the police? You said you woke up the next day, discovered that you had a dislocated shoulder. So proceed from there.
All right, so I woke up, called my girl after I go to piss. So I wake up, go to piss, right? And I started noticing my shoulder was sore. Like, the fuck? And I didn't realize it, but the more I tried to move it, it was, you know, it hurt. And the more it moved, it was like, I don't know, it just, that was the most, it just started to hurt, right? And it wasn't really major at first. It was just little at a little and a little at a time. And then it was as though I looked in the mirror and I could see my shoulder the way it was. I could see that it was dislocated, but it wasn't broken. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I called my girl and I'm like, babe, what do you think? You think I could just pop it back in? And she was like, nah, call the hospital. Call the ambulance right now. So I called, right? And I'm sitting there, about 5 minutes go by after I called. At first I called the front desk and I'm like, yo, call me an ambulance. I need an ambulance right now. I got assaulted last night. Just realized it, right? So they called the ambulance, sent it to my room. But I get a knock on the door and the police come. So the police come, he's looking at me and he can tell that I've been in a scuffle or something. And I'm banged up because my shoulder's hanging out my socket and I'm leaning to the side trying to open the door, right? This dude starts asking me, what happened? Do you mind if I search you? Let me just get, like, as soon as I'm starting to get into the what happened, it's, do you mind if I search you? And I kind of was offended at that point. And, right, to the subject, because I didn't understand how he just, was the one to come first anyway. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm the one that called you, told y'all I've been assaulted. I'm in my room. You're coming here asking me to search me. And, I was like, go ahead, man, search me, man. But then I made sure I did my griping, and come to find out, right? After we go through all of that, the little griping, I don't remember and want to even divulge too much of the conversation. But he defended himself saying it was his job, right? And I gave him that benefit of the doubt because all I wanted at that point was to get to the ambulance and get to the hospital, right? And so I was trying to cooperate with him as much as I could to get him to do his job correctly, I see him just by the way he was acting off the rip that there was a good chance he might not want to do his job correctly. And especially having the flashbacks of what had happened to me in the morning, it was just making it more realistic that I was in a place where, my kind necessarily might not be wanted. But all in all, the cop did his job. And the funny part was that, I asked him, just get me out of here to the ambulance, and he escorted me out and grabbed my bags. But he said, now as far as pressing charges was concerned, if you're saying this happened over there across the street, that's not my district. But I can give you a number of somebody you can call if you'd like to press charges. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to the ambulance at this point in time.
1 minute, man. So I want to make sure that everybody understands, can put this again in the proper context. So next morning, wake up, discover your shoulders dislocated, see the call, what you thought was the ambulance. Next thing you know, the police is coming, knocking on your door. And instead of you, who was the victim, they treat you instead as if you were the suspect or a criminal. Am I correct in how that went down?
I mean, I say he was doing his job, but he did it in a way where it made it uncomfortable. If I call and I say that I've been victimized, assaulted, why would you come asking, what do I have in my pockets? You feel me?
Yeah,
like, what do you got away? You got anything on you? Anything in this room? I'm like, all right, bro. Go ahead, look. Man. Take a look, bro. I'm like, yo, take a look, man. Pat me down, man, and get me to the damn ambulance. So I can't believe you would sit here and try and question me. And I'm the one that called the freaking ambulance. I started writing, bro. There was nothing I could do at that point. I was at his mercy. I don't even know who could. I mean, I know it's a cop now, but at the time when the door was not when he knocked, I didn't know if it was a cop or not. You know what I mean? I thought it was an ambulance.
So, ultimately, just to sum it up all in a nutshell, you get beat down or jumped by a gang of white supremacists. After that, you're injured. You find out that you're injured. You call for assistance. Not only that, the ambulance don't show up, and also the police come there, and instead of giving you the proper treatment and serving you like a citizen who's just been a victim of an assault, you in turn were treated like a suspect. Now, again, going back to our initial conversation before we started, I asked you again. Now, your position is, you don't identify with race, you consider yourself American, and that's cool and all. But after this particular incident, after this assault has been committed upon you, has that somehow adjusted your position as relates to race or racism? Because I do believe at some point you were saying that, I mean, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth that racism doesn't exist or something to that nature.
Yeah, you can't put words in my mouth. I've always said that it doesn't exist. Like, I don't go around and, like, focused on saying or bringing racism to the forefront. But my presence alone brings race to the forefront no matter where I go. Being light-skinned and the complexion that I am with the color eyes that I have, I've always had to face racism, bro. Whether it's from my own kind or from whites or Spanish and etc. I mean, racism is part of the culture, is part of society. To live inside the confines of it is something that I try and be above. So, if it makes any sense, Not saying that it doesn't exist, but when I say that I'm an American, I try and stay above racism by saying that. Because what's the difference between us complaining about racism and not getting much done versus the people that benefit from racism and who get away with what they get away with? Like there's the contrast and difference to me, and it's like not who takes the high road. Who takes the high road? You know, that's what I'm talking about. Who takes the high road, even when it comes to racism?
Okay. So let me ask you though. So after this whole situation, this incident, what's your position now? I mean, has it changed any? Has it maybe moved your views a little bit?
Yeah, especially on West Virginia, in that whole area, Washington, PA, Pittsburgh, all that shit over there. Oh man, it's crazy over there, bro. It's crazy. But
So,
I mean, even Kentucky, even when I'm in Tennessee, Georgia, all of those spots through that way, racism is real, man, and I understand why we are the predominant, people out there as far as when we break it down demographically for the space. It's like 30% black down there, 35% black down there, in the major cities, So I understand why they stay together down south and why it's different up north as well.
I don't put everybody in the same category. My thing is it's not against white people. I talk about fighting white supremacy and fighting for justice. You understand? It's about justice with me. It's not about hating any particular group or disliking any group. But if you are one that subscribes to the ideology of white supremacy, whether you be white, black, Hispanic, Asian, because we understand nowadays you don't necessarily have to be white to practice white supremacy. You do recognize that, correct?
Yeah, man, and that's what I'm trying to get at, man. There's no blanket, you know what I mean? There's no blanket, examples that, because we have self-racism, you know what I mean? Like, we hate ourselves. And racism is hate. And anything that you hate is something that 9 times out of 10 relates to something that you hate inside yourself. You know what I mean? So, I try not to be hateful, because to be hateful, could lead to vengeful, could lead to just, negative qualities that I don't want to try and add to my life at this point in time. I've already dibbles and dabbles, and God willing, He let me have to this time shit coming out of shit like that, to learn and be better, and it's not about conforming and reducing yourself to the same hate that they've given us.
Well, I hate white supremacy. I make no bones about it. I stand against white supremacy. And if you're a white supremacist, then I'm diametrically opposed to everything you represent. I stand for justice. If you in thought, speech, and action feel that because of the color of your skin, you can harm or do something foul in any shape, form, or fashion to a black person, then yes, I hate white supremacists. I don't hate white people. I hate white supremacists and white supremacy, that whole ideology, that whole movement. And, my whole thing, again, is about standing for justice and implementing justice when we see our people wrong when it comes to those type of things happening to us. But I just want to say to you, man, I want you to get better, man. You know, watch your 12, your 3, your 6, and your 9 when you out and about. You know, I hope that this situation has made you a little bit more aware. You know, when you're moving about around this country in different areas. You know, I know you like to get your drink on from time to time, but definitely be easy, man, when you're moving in foreign lands. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. And I appreciate you coming on the platform, sharing your story with the family, man. I really do. I'll give you the last word of anything you want to add before we wind it up.
Well, you know, the most important lesson I learned out of this thing is alcohol consumption in my life needs to be deaded. And that's something that, you know, I've battled with for a long time since I met you, you know, as a young, still a teenager, you know. I'm going to say like this, you do got to watch your 6, your 3, and your 9, as well as your 12, because, you know, they don't never come at you, you know what I'm saying, at your 12. They're always coming at you from your 6. You know, when you see a brother in a situation like that, man, you know, make sure, even if you're Mexican, man, you know, if there's a way, stop it and intervene. Do what you gotta do, because, like I said, I don't know if these dudes that help at the end came from the kitchen or what. They could have been working in. You know what I mean? And to break it up, because there was no security. You feel me? And oh yeah. Matter of fact, they could have been security, bro. You know what I mean? But all I want to say is peace to the gods, peace to the earths, and I'm gonna make it out of this shit stronger than ever.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Yo, man, I appreciate you once again coming on the platform again. That was my brother Droop on the check-in telling his story. You know what I mean? A racial attack that was committed upon him. And, you know, ultimately, what was the end result? And on that note, I just want to say we're about to raise up out of here. People, stay safe, take care of yourself. Watch your 12, your 6, your 3, your 9. Have your head on the swivel. And again, let's fight white supremacy and let's stand for justice. Again, salute everybody. Take care. Peace.
Peace.